My name is Trisa, and I have just turned 18-year-old. I decided to tell a story, but it is not just any story. It is my story and what had happened to my family and me. I was born and raised in Skopje. I live with my two beautiful parents and my little brother Troji. Troji is only 1 year younger than me, but he still acts like a bit of a child and annoys me. I've always wanted a sister, and my parents tried for another baby, but I guess it is meant to be just Troji and me. But I don't complain because my mother is like a sister to me. Troji and I had an amazing childhood. It was so good growing up with our grandparents. They both had passed away this year from COVID. It doesn't go a day that I don't think about them. I miss them so much. But our lives have always been good. My parents worked so hard for the life that we have now. My father is an anesthesiologist, and he makes pretty good money from it. I heard that it is the highest paying job in the world. My mother, on the other hand, is a teacher. Everyone loves her. Well, who couldn't love her? She is the kindest and most loving. Even though my parents have completely different lives, they still manage to understand each other and love each other since day one. I have just graduated from high school, and I am very excited about what will happen next in my life. High school wasn't the best experience, and I am so glad that it is over. Life has become exactly like in the movies. I could hardly find a good friendship at my high school since everyone is so mean nowadays. But now, we had just welcomed my favorite season ever, summer. And life is just good. I love summer. The days get longer and warmer, and life generally becomes better. Since my parents work all the time, and my brother and I are at school. The only chance to go somewhere as a family is during summer. We always go with our cousins. It's always fun because they have 3 daughters. During vacations, you need to have someone that you have fun with. I can't have fun with my brother. He wants different things. He is a boy. But this summer our cousins couldn't come with us. I was so sad and angry when I heard about this. At first, I didn't want to go at all, but it was summer, and I had to make the most of it. So we decided to have a vacation. We decided on going to Italy, Amalfi Coast. Italy has always been a dream of all of us. We decided that we would go by car. And that's what we did. There was a long road ahead of us. Troji and I were sitting in the back seat of the car. I got my snacks and my headphones. My obsession right now is a rock band called Arctic Monkeys. Troji would always take my headphones and make my music stop, and this way. We would fight a bit. It was a long road trip with fights and laughs. We would make stops here and there until we arrived at our destination. And here it was, the famous Amalfi Coast. It looked better than the pictures. We decided to stay at a hotel that was near the beach and away from the city. There were a lot of tourists, and we needed some peaceful time. The hotel was very luxurious, and we all had a room to ourselves. But we shared a living room, and it was more like an apartment rather than a hotel. The view from my balcony was crazy. You could see the whole ocean. You could scream all you want, but no one would hear you. But that day we were so tired, we decided to sleep so we could be more energetic and enjoy the day the next day. The next day arrived, and we were so excited. I put on my favorite bikini and was ready to take a tan. We decided to stay by the beach. I love napping on the beach, it's just so peaceful. We didn't do much during the daytime. In the evening we decided to go and have some dinner. We wanted to go to places that weren't so near to our hotel, so we had to go by car. But it was only an 8-minute car ride or something. We arrived, and there were a lot of tourists. You could literally be lost in there. I was holding my mother's hand like I was only a 10-year-old. We ate dinner that night and then went back to our hotel and fell asleep. I wish we didn't get back to our hotel. I wish we didn't sleep. We did our thing, not knowing that something terrible was going to happen the next day. My alarm clock woke me up in the morning because we always wake up early during vacation. It was almost 7 a.m. I decided to sleep a little bit more, knowing well that my mother would wake me up. I slept and realized that nobody had come to my room to wake me up. I looked at the clock, and it was 8 a.m. There were no missed calls and no messages. I took my phone, just like I always do in the mornings. And I started scrolling. I noticed that the Wi-Fi wasn't working. I was surprised how this luxurious apartment had problems with Wi-Fi. I decided to go to the other rooms and wake my parents and my brother. Maybe they had missed the alarm, I thought. But I couldn't open the door. The door is locked. Some minutes went by, and I didn't panic at all until I heard someone begging the door. It was Mom, Dad, and my brother. Their rooms had been locked too. We could barely hear each other, but we were trying so hard to communicate. Their Wi-Fi and their phone weren't working. There was no signal. It had been 3 hours, and no one was coming to help us. Even our balcony door was blocked and couldn't get opened. Hours went by, and we were getting hungry and worried. My brother and I were in separate rooms. My parents were so worried that something terrible was going to happen. My dad couldn't stop a second without bagging the door. Then all of a sudden, we heard a noise. Someone came into the apartment and was walking around the living room. I could hear the steps. Then all of a sudden, a room got opened. It was my parents' room. Someone just went inside our parents' room, and our parents immediately started screaming. I was so scared something bad had happened to them. I could hear them talking, but I couldn't hear clearly. Then that person went out of the apartment. And I screamed, "Are you all right?" Luckily my parents answered, and they said that someone had just come to their room. They said that that person had a mask on, and they couldn't see who it was. That person had asked my parents for a big amount of money. Money was never an issue for my parents, so of course, they agreed to give the money. We noticed that my brother, Troji, was not talking at all as we were talking. We were screaming his name, but he was not answering. It had been hours, and we were so worried. I couldn't help but cry. Then that dangerous stranger came into the apartment again and told us loudly that they had taken Troji and would not bring him back unless they saw the amount of money they had asked for. They left us only one boiled egg, just so we could starve. That day was one of the most challenging days that I have ever experienced. I was so scared of Troji and where he was. My parents were crying non-stop. I wanted to hug them and tell them that everything is going to be all right. I fell asleep crying, and then I woke up by the noise of the door of the apartment. That guy had come back and gone to my parents' room and took my dad. They took my dad so he could withdraw money from the bank and give it to them. My dad tried to ask for help on the street, but the guy said to him that if he tried to do something stupid, they would kill him. My dad got even more worried now and said that he would not give the money unless he saw Troji. But they said to him that Troji was going to be waiting in the apartment and that we were good to go and free. But my dad came back, and Troji wasn't there. We were all so stressed, and I hadn't gotten out of the room for 2 days now. There was a lot of questions running through our mind. Who are they? How did they know that we were here and that my father was rich? Is it someone we know? I know that I said that Troji is annoying and that I hated him, but he is still my little brother. And I care about him. I missed his stupid voice and our stupid little fights. Another night had come, and we all fell asleep. I woke up in the morning and noticed that my room door was opened. I ran so fast like a kid on Christmas Day. I ran so fast to my parents' room to see if they were all right. They were sleeping. I woke up them hugging so hard. We were happy that we were together, at least. But our little Troji wasn't there yet. We ran to see if the door of the apartment had been opened. But, no. It was still closed. My dad tried to find ways so that we could escape. But, nothing was near us. No houses. No restaurants. Then it hit us that it would be better if we just stayed and waited. They could bring Troji anytime now. After some hours, a car pulled to the apartment. We took a look from the window and noticed that Troji was there. We were so happy. He came running into the apartment and had a key. He opened the door of our apartment. That was the first time that I hugged Troji. He explained to us everything that had happened to him. He said that the guys took him and held him in a house. He said that they didn't do anything bad to him. Then, we went to the person who owned the apartment and told them about everything that had happened to us. We decided to look at the cameras and see if we could find the suspects. We noticed that there were 2 guys, and one of them had no masks on. The police then had identified the suspect and then arrested him. Apparently, the guy was a tourist, and he just wanted to make some extra money. He didn't know who we were or where we were from. He had followed us that night that we went out. I am writing this while we are going on our way home. Our vacation had turned into a nightmare, and we couldn't get our money back. But we didn't care. We were glad that we were all right and together. We just wanted to get home safe. It's crazy what people do for money, and they are capable of putting lives in danger. This experience made me realize that anything can happen in a very unpredictable way. This experience didn't make me love Italy less. It was just bad timing. I can't wait to visit it again.